I'm going to share with you a personal experience of what could be described as a lifting of the veil, or what in A Course in Miracles would be called revelation. So there's a couple of times I've experienced this. Well, I probably have more than 2 times, but sometimes it's only been glimpses, so I haven't really realized or remembered. I have experienced these kind of states in meditation, but I don't see that as the same as experiencing it outside of meditation, because the meditative state, it's easier to, when you're in your own meditative state and you've got your eyes closed, you're not interacting with the outside world. But these 2 times when I experienced this lifting of the veil, which I'm sure many of us have experienced and we might not understand what it meant. They occurred when I was outside, walking amongst people, actually walking to and from a station, both train station, both of these times, the same train station actually, in London. And it was an experience of just complete compassion and love, and no thoughts were going through my head. So it was this experience. If you've possibly read Eckhart Tolle about the power of now, when he's saying you can't really force these states, but you can do certain exercises to meditation obviously helps to evoke these states. When you're not thinking, there are no thoughts going through your head, and you're completely in the moment. And I had been meditating already. This was a few years ago, both of these instances. And they both lasted for about 20 to 30 minutes, around about that amount of time each. And I'm going to read from A Course in Miracles what it says about revelation before I continue to explain my experience. So, revelation is intensely personal and cannot be meaningfully translated. That is why any attempt to describe it in words is impossible. Revelation induces only experience. Miracles, on the other hand, induce action. Miracles being a shift from fear to love. They are more useful now because of their interpersonal nature, miracle study. In this phase of learning, working miracles is important because freedom from fear cannot be thrust upon you. Revelation is literally unspeakable because it is an experience of unspeakable love. All should be reserved for reservation, to which it is perfectly and correctly applicable. And it also says at the beginning of this page, revelation induces complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. It reflects the original form of communication between God and His creations. So, like it says, although I'm trying to put these experiences in words, I know that I cannot fully put these experiences in words, because it is very personal and you can only know it by experiencing it. So it was the best way to describe it, like it said, it was experiences of unspeakable love. It was not something, I didn't feel like I needed to say anything. I was by myself, although I was walking around amongst other people that I didn't know. And I was doing things. I was on my way to work the first time, walking through the barriers at the station and walking across one of the bridges in London. Second time I was coming back, had a coffee in my hand, I was coming back and was about to catch a train. and it was just I had this feeling of almost like floating experience. So when I was walking, my body felt very light. There were no thoughts going through my head, but it was very, I wasn't trying. Basically, these were very spontaneous. I wasn't trying to induce these experiences at all. And I don't think that works. It was very effortless. They just came over me when I least expected it, really. And I remember I looked around at people around me that I didn't know that was either sitting next to me at the station or walking just ahead of me or next to me on my way to work. And I can be a very judgmental person, like I think many of us can be. It can be on a very low kind of level, subtle level, that I have judgments or some kind of judgment towards people, even towards strangers. Although I might not want to, more judgment than I would like to think that I have. But there was just complete suspension of judgment. There was not even suspension of judgment, but a complete compassion and love for people that I didn't even know, and that I know otherwise I might have some kind of judgment against. Some of these men on their way to work in their suits, possibly a bit stressed, looking a bit stressed. And there was, I was just looking around me and looking at them, and it felt very good at the same time as well, and just felt complete. Nothing had to be said, nothing had to be done, but just felt complete compassion, infinite compassion and love. And it was the best feeling I can ever experience, even though it's more than a feeling. Feeling is not an adequate word to even describe it. So I want to say that I'm not saying that I'm special. This is something that I think many of us have experienced. We might not even have realized it. I had just started, when I experienced this, I had just started reading A Course in Miracles. It was about 4 or 5 years ago. I think I definitely started meditating a year or two before that. And certain religious institutions, they have made up in the past, and maybe still do, the perception that these experiences are reserved for people high up, that we would see as enlightened, or even certain people in the priesthoods or of a certain stature in religion. Or if we're not, obviously I'm not practicing any dogmatic religion, but if we're not, so if like me we're into alternative spirituality, we might think that it's reserved for people we might see as gurus or yogis, or people that have practiced for years and years. But I want to say that that is a lie. These experiences are reserved for all of us, and we can all experience these states. So we need to take back these experiences and these wordings. Obviously, in the Course in Miracles, if you do read it, you have realized that it uses a lot of Christian language, a lot of what seems like religious language, although it's not a religion, or it doesn't create a dogma. But it takes it back. It's basically written in the tradition, I would say, of Gnostic thought or mysticism. So these experiences is something that we can experience, and we don't even need to have practiced meditation or religious or spiritual practices for all of our lives, or what we see as spirituality. And they can occur in any moment when we least expect it. So because we are the so-called Son of God, all of us, and there's only one of us here. So, and we are inseparable from God or Source or the universe, whatever word you want to use. So this is what the Gnostic teachings and mysticism is about. There's no dogmatic institution or middle man that needs to help you get to these experiences of infinite love and compassion. And that is why Gnostics were persecuted by the early churches, because they basically taught that this is something that we can experience directly and not through religion only. So you might recognize a biblical text or part in the Bible where it says, "Now we see through a glass darkly," or sometimes it's translated as either a glass darkly, through a glass darkly, or a mirror dimly. But you see the symbolism there. And then it says, "Then we shall see face to face fully." That is not word by word, but that's pretty much it. And we've often, I think that's often been viewed as something that is regarding the afterlife, but really it can be experienced in this life, now. So we do not have to wait for physical death to experience those states of seeing face to face with the truth and who we really are. So that's what I wanted to share today, and I'm sure that some of you might have had similar experiences, and look up for more videos. Thank you.